right. Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Pass Pirate Pay, the movie discussion show. My name is Ken. I'm your host, alongside my co-host, Andy. Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Ken. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, too. This week, we got a good one going, I think. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
In honor of the new film out in theaters, The Life of Chuck, we are doing a trifecta of movies based on the works of Stephen King. So, to get into some Stephen King, we're going to be doing The Shawshank Redemption.
Classic. Bona fide classic.
That's right.
A classic that no one could ever not like.
Well, I wonder if anybody has seen this movie. This is the real thing.
Right.
This might be our least listened to episode
spoil
ever.
our show. What's next?
Then we're also going to be doing Dr. Sleep and The Life of Chuck. So yeah, 3 Stephen King works turned into movies. Andy, so let me ask you this before we get into stuff. What is your favorite Stephen King movie?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I do like a lot of them.
All right.
I was a big fan when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was reading books, but my favorite Stephen King was probably like Stand By Me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Stand By Me is great.
I don't know if that counts because it's not horror, but
of course it does. Of course it counts.
It's like the greatest coming of age movie ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I also love Stand By Me. I have a pretty similar thing. I think when I was right around junior high, I discovered Stephen King, and I just made it my mission over the next 5 years to just read every single thing that the man had ever written.
Oh wow!
Eventually, I stopped. So the last 10 years or so of Stephen King, I haven't really read any of the books, but for all the stuff up until he got into that car accident that almost killed him.
Yeah.
I've read everything up to that point.
So I've read a few things after.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite Stephen King movie?
My favorite Stephen King movie is The Shining for
Okay.
sure. Which is as we discussed last time, it's
Stephen King's least favorite Stephen King movie.
He hates it. But yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of books that have been turned into really good movies, I think. I really like Misery. I really like...
I was going to give you a quick Pass Pirate Pay.
Yeah,
on just some random Stephen King movies.
Fire away.
What is your preference for it? Did you like the miniseries or did you like the movie?
Okay, so when I was a kid, that miniseries messed me up.
It was great, though.
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah,
Tim
Curry was awesome in it.
Me. I watched it again not too long ago. It's okay. Tim Curry is still great, but it's not so good. Now, I really, really like the first of the new movies, the one with the kids.
Right.
The one with the adults, it wasn't so great.
Yeah, and the book is broken into that, or is it mixed up?
Yeah, it's more mixed up in the book than it was.
I really like the kids because the kid is the kid part stuff is like a coming of age story of its own.
Right.
But with the Stephen King horror element, with the scary clown but it still has that cool coming of age Stephen King stuff.
I mean, I think I've read it. It's 1,100 pages long or something like that. I think I've read it 5 times.
Oh, wow.
I loved that book when I was a kid. The coming of age, because it's the losers club, right? It's all these kids that are getting picked on all the time. And I was a dorky kid in high school, so it's it really spoke to me. So I really loved all of that stuff.
So your preference is the first new movie? That's the best iteration?
Yeah,
of it?
I think so. I think I like the miniseries better than the second movie, but the first movie is the best of all of them.
Okay.
I thought it was really scary. I thought it was a really
what do you
really
think of
effective horror
Carrie?
movie. Carrie, the original?
The original.
I love it. I think it's really good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Pet Sematary?
Pet Sematary is okay. The original. Again, they've remade a bunch of these movies. And I haven't seen any of these remakes. Yeah. The original Pet Sematary is okay. It's creepy. What's his name? Fred Gwynn is really...
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sometimes they come back.
Yeah, right.
You know what one of my favorite Stephen King movies was when I was a kid?
What's that?
Creep Show.
Oh, I never saw Creep Show.
I loved the original. I love the sequel, too, but the first one was really good. It was so there was an element of campiness to it, but there was also a really nasty element of dread to it.
Okay.
Nothing real redeeming or hopeful or anything. And I kind of like my horror that way.
Yeah.
Kind of like it hopeless.
Yeah.
But it was also a little bit, silly. It was based off those old those old like, comic books from those
Right.
EC comic books.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. You have a kind of a healthy relationship with Stephen King.
Yeah,
stuff.
like I said, I mean, I read so many Stephen King books when I was a kid, and
you read the whole Dark Tower.
I've read all the Dark Towers. Yep.
Did you see the new Dark Tower?
I did not.
Good.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but terrible things.
I don't know
about it,
who
though.
the fuck they made that movie for.
Yeah,
because it was not good if you hadn't read the books,
right.
and it was an abysmal failure.
Wasn't
They
it
tried to cram them all
They
into
did
one
all
movie.
7 books in one movie, right? Yeah, that's totally insane.
It just like I can't imagine it making sense to anyone.
Yeah.
because like they have these characters that are in there that you know from other books and stuff,
Right.
That've been pulled in from the Stephen King universe.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, well, I know who the low men are,
Yeah.
but nobody else in this movie theater does.
Right. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So yeah, it was really awful. And like I'm not against Idris Elba playing
Sure.
the gunslinger.
Yeah.
And I'm not against Matthew McConaughey playing the Man in Black.
Yeah.
I thought those were good casting choices.
Right.
But then they were thrown into this just absolute mess.
Yeah, I mean, once I heard that they were trying to make all 7 books into one movie, it's like, what are you doing? And it's not just 7 books, 7 Stephen King books,
Right.
And it, like you said, it like draws from the mythology of all of his books. It's like the super text of all Stephen King of all 80 books that he's written.
Yeah,
or whatever.
there are weird like little minor characters in some of the books that become like minor characters in the Dark Tower.
Yeah, right.
Or what do you think about Mike Flanagan, which directed 2 of the movies that we're doing?
Yeah. So
what do you think about him doing the Dark Tower series?
I mean, not to jump too far ahead into what we're about to talk about, but I've never seen anything that Mike Flanagan has done that I haven't at least liked a little bit. Like all of the stuff that I've watched of his, I think is at least good. And some of it's really good,
Yeah.
So I'm totally on board. It's going to be a mini series, right? It's going to be
Yes, I think that each book is going to be its own season.
Oh wow!
So I think it's going to be like a full like 6 season.
Yeah, so that sounds great. If you
Amazon
give,
series.
if you give him the space to work with, I think he could do a really
and
good
he
job with it.
seems like the kind of guy. He's a massive Stephen King fan, and
Yeah,
he seems like the kind of guy that will give it the care
Yeah.
that it needs because it needs a lot of care.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, let's get into it.
All right,
what's
do it.
first?
Let's jump right in. We'll
no.
go chronological. We're gonna start. We're gonna go back to 1994, and we're gonna talk about the Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Oh, Andy and Red.
Ken, you've been wanting to get your opinion on the Shawshank Redemption on tape for quite some time now.
I guess that's kind of true.
No, you've been eager.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a person, y'all who listen to the show, you can imagine that I have some takes, some opinions on things that are not entirely popular all the time.
Brave. You're a brave soul.
But I have said on numerous occasions that my take on the Shawshank Redemption is my least popular take.
Yeah.
So for a little background, I absolutely loved this novella when I was a kid. Loved it. I thought it was great. I remember seeing a trailer for the movie when it was before it came out.
The stories in different seasons were really good.
Yeah.
They were all really good.
Yeah. I really liked that one. Yeah, that's the one which Stand By Me comes from also.
An Apt Pupil.
An Apt Pupil, which is not a good movie.
No. Pretty crazy story, too.
Yeah, let's get into Nazis and yeah. But yeah, so I loved it. I remember I saw the trailer for the movie and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're making this a movie.
Yeah.
I was so excited. And then I was probably 14 years old when I saw this movie. And I have to say that at the age of 14, this was my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, so there was a point in your life where you liked The Shawshank Redemption.
Not just liked. I'm saying this was my favorite. If you had come up to ask 14-year-old Ken what his favorite movie, what the best movie ever made was, I would have, without blinking, said The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh my God, Ken, show me on the doll where The Shawshank Redemption touched you.
Well, so here's the thing about this. As I've watched this movie, I've seen this movie many times. As I watch it, as I get older, I become more and more aware that it makes perfect sense that this was my 14-year-old self's favorite movie. Because this movie has the emotional intelligence of a 14-year-old. Like, that's what this movie is. It is geared to play to the lowest common denominator. Every single aspect of this movie is made so that dudes who are too like macho to be in touch with their feelings can like feel like they have a soul, because this is this thing where it's a story about these two dudes who love each other, but in a way that is totally not gay. We don't have to worry about it. And there's nothing uncomfortable about it. These guys are both fighting the oppressive prison system. Everything in their lives is injustice, and they're bonding together over fighting this injustice. And that's where this movie is aimed at. And
okay.
The thing that makes me so angry about this movie is that it has no respect for the audience's intelligence. This movie is so stupid at every turn that I can't even understand how people are taken in by it. Like, it just makes no sense to me. So for just a couple of things, so the opening of this movie, we see it's Andy Dufresne. I mean, we don't have to get into the plot. Everybody's seen this movie, right?
Yeah.
Andy Dufresne is coming into Shawshank.
We're not even getting spoiler alerts for this one.
Hell no. Andy comes into Shawshank on the bus with all these new fish, right? And so the inmates are all playing this game where they're like trying to get these new guys who arrive to start crying, right? And we're immediately plunged into this world where it's like, oh my God, this is the harsh reality that these characters are living with. It's like it's every man for himself, and the world is so brutal and no one cares about anyone else. It's so terrible, right? Mm-hmm. But then every other scene involving the inmates talking to each other for the rest of the movie, they're all best friends. There are no conflicts except for like the sisters who are the rapist guys.
Yeah.
But those guys are taken care of, shunted off in the first 45 minutes of the movie too. Like, that shit comes and goes quickly away. But so immediately, once the movie tells you that this is really bad, this situation that Andy and Red are in, it's really bad. Once you realize that, then all of a sudden it's just like, okay. And it's also really fun. Like, these guys are cool. They hang out with each other. They're buddies. They talk. Everybody's having a good time. It's great, So like that stuff just really irritates the hell out of me.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think it's so stark though. The prison is still a really dangerous place. There's a lot of aspects of it that are dangerous.
There's nothing in the movie shows that. After the rapist dude, except for
what about like the staff?
Yeah, the guards are assholes, but like
murderous assholes,
right? But then as soon as Andy figures it out, he's like, oh, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these guards to realize that I can be useful to them, and everything's gonna be fine, and I'm not gonna have to worry about it. Uh-huh. Even once Andy decides he's gonna like start bucking the system, when the kid who knows that he didn't actually commit the crime that he's in jail for gets murdered, and Andy's like, oh, I'm not helping you guys out anymore. There's no violence or any. It's not like they bring in Clancy Brown to beat the hell out of him and make it so that he has to drink his meals through a straw like the rapist guy got. It's just like no. We're just gonna stick him in the hole, when Andy has already said that the time in the hole doesn't bother him because he's got music in his soul, because he's the deepest poet of in the history of the prison system. Like, it's so stupid. It's so idiotic. The whole thing is so sanitized. Like, who in this movie, which of these prisoners is a believable criminal? There's not a single person in this movie who'd be like, oh shit, that guy seems like he should be in prison. Even Red,
maybe Clancy Brown.
Yeah, exactly. Clancy Brown and the warden. Those are the guys who are criminals, right?
Yeah.
None of these guys who are in the prison are believable in any way as prisoners. It's just like, these are just like goofy guys who make stupid comments every once in a while that are just, highlights in the Andy and Red show, because that's all this movie is, right? Mm-hmm. So that really bugs the hell out of me. Another thing that really annoys me in this movie is, I don't know what it is about Stephen King books being made into movies that so many people who make them into movies, because Stephen King is so wordy when he writes, mm-hmm. There's a tendency when you're making a movie of his stuff to just narrate the hell out of everything. And this movie never shuts up. Red is narrating the whole time. There's a scene. So my least favorite scene in this movie is the opera scene.
That's everybody's favorite.
Ugh. Oh my God. It's so stupid. So Andy, he finds, he gets this opera record, and he decides he's going to put it on the record player and put it over the PA system so everybody in the prison can hear it, right?
Yeah.
And we have this sweeping shot of all of the prisoners looking up in awe. It's like, what are we listening to? Oh my God, my soul is alive. This is amazing, right? But so while this scene is going on, there's actual narration where this is what Red says, okay?
Okay.
I don't know what those two ladies were singing about, and I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid, okay?
Okay.
And then he goes on and continues talking for the next minute over the opera song playing. It's like, if some things are best left unsaid, then let them be left unsaid. Like, you don't have to hold the audience's hand through everything. It's totally like ridiculous. This movie has no thought that anybody can get the point that it's trying to make unless they are absolutely beat over the head with it. So here's some more excellent narration that this movie couldn't do without. Okay. When Andy breaks out of prison, he breaks out of the Shawshank.
Yeah.
And so first off, aside, the movie attempts to make us think that Andy is going to kill himself. Like, as if that were possibly a thing that were going to happen. But the movie spends...
Red 2, right?
They do that later with Red 2, which is totally, again, as if the movie expects us to believe, oh, maybe he's going to kill himself. Maybe this guy who has been so immune to the crushing nature of prison for the entire time, is like, well, that's it. Now it's time for me to die. Whatever. So we realize Andy didn't kill himself, and we see him getting out, right? And then as they're showing the manhunt, the guards are tracking him with dogs. This is the narration we get. In 1966, Andy Dufresne escaped from Shawshank Prison. Well, no fucking shit. Later in that scene, they're talking about how Andy tunnels through this shit tunnel, right?
Yeah.
And Red says he crawled through 500 yards. 500 yards. That's the length of 5 football fields. Wow, you don't say. 5 football fields is 500 yards. No one could have done that math themselves. Like, these are just examples of how stupid this movie is. The last thing I want to say is, I could talk about this a lot.
Feels like it.
But when you think about this movie, you think like, okay, the big climax of the movie is Andy escapes from prison, right? The movie goes on for 40 minutes after Andy escapes from prison. It just goes and goes and goes, and it's just such a slog. And it's all Morgan Freeman narrating, and nothing happens at all. It's just yapping. It's just mindless yapping to hold the audience's hand to try to get them we're finally escaped the hopelessness, and now I'm going to talk to you for 40 minutes about how hope is actually a thing that exists, because you just watch this guy escape from prison and go get all this money and go live in Mexico, live his dream life after all this stuff has happened. We've seen all that, but you're not smart enough to realize that a person should be hopeful even though he has escaped a hopeless situation and got everything that he could possibly have hoped for after all the bad stuff that has happened in his life. No. We're going to talk about it, and then talk about it, and talk about it, and talk about it. And then we're going to have a side detour where we're going to make it look like Red's going to kill himself, which who could possibly believe that this is a thing that's going to happen? No, we're just wasting time. All we're doing is wasting time. Red looks in the window of a pawn shop or whatever, and he's looking at some guns. And it's like, yeah, I think Red's going to shoot somebody to get put back in prison, or he's going to shoot himself because he can't take it anymore, like Brooks, which that's a whole other scene that's terrible too, this whole Brooks thing, where it's like this really feeble old man, he's like, I don't understand this world anymore. It's like, this is how we show what prison does to people, because you can't do that without this extraordinarily maudlin 15-minute scene with this really feeble old man killing himself. Yeah, so that's my problem. This is my problem with this movie. I feel like this movie has no respect for me, and I have no respect for movies that have no respect for me.
It's just so strange. I don't know. It's got to be out there, but I cannot think of a movie that I loved as an adolescent and hated as an adult.
Yeah.
I can think of movies that went the other way.
Yeah.
But
I have a bunch of those.
I can't think of ones that went that way. Just because the nostalgia is there. And sometimes, like, I watch movies and I realize, like when we were watching Cloak and Dagger, I realize, oh, this is kind of a cheese dick movie, but like I still like it.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think the problem is that I am ashamed of myself for ever having liked this movie, for ever having...
I'm ashamed of myself for liking butt rock.
Yeah.
I was a big butt rock fan
in junior high. I had that too. I did too. But yeah, I'm annoyed that this movie, which when I watch it now, the manipulation and the over the top sentimentality, like bullshit of it, is so obvious to me now that it's like, man, I can't believe I was ever stupid enough to have fallen for this. It makes it's so annoying to me that I was ever that person.
I think the reason people love it though is because I don't think it. I think it's well done. Like, I know you don't.
Yeah, certainly.
But I think it's well done. And it isn't, like, I remember watching it originally and thinking this is not like a movie that is breaking any new ground.
Right.
It's a prison movie.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the comfort food mentality of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, it didn't bother me like it does you. It kind of like, I kind of settle into it, you know?
So, like...
And I think that's why people like it. That's why they show it so much on TV.
So, like, it's probably going on like 25 years now that IMDb has had its ranking of the 250 best movies of all time as voted on by its users, right?
Right.
And Shawshank has been at the top of that list. Has been number one on that list for over 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And it's so baffling to me. It just... I think what you're saying makes a little bit of sense, where it's like, I get it. People don't watch movies in the same way that I like to watch movies, right? People like to turn their brains off. And this movie spoon feeds you all of its points, and it makes you feel good about yourself because the good guys win and the bad guy blows his brains out and you know, at the end. And
but don't you think that this level of schmaltz is the same level of schmaltz that's in A Wonderful Life? It's A Wonderful Life?
I don't think so. I feel like It's a Wonderful Life is much more intelligently made. I feel like
I think it's real similar. Like, there has to have been comparisons to those two movies.
I don't know. I think It's a Wonderful Life comes by its emotions honestly, whereas Shawshank to me feels like it's like grabbing a hold of you and trying to wring the tears out of your face. Like, it's just like, you are going to feel, listen to this music. The music is going to be there at every step of the way, and Red's soothing voice is going to tell you what you're supposed to feel, and we are going to make you love this movie. And I think that's why it happens. I think this movie is a complete snow job on people, and it has been successful at that for 30 plus years now. Everybody's
very successful.
Yeah, exactly. People, I mean, how much money has TNT made off of this movie, selling advertisements to watch the Shawshank Redemption over the past 30 years? It's unbelievable. It can't possibly be fathomed, I think.
All right. Well, is that it, Ken? Or
yeah, sure. That's enough.
Do you have any more shit left in you to rain on Shawshank Redemption?
No, I think that's enough. I mean, yeah, I think I've said my piece. I think anybody listening now, I'm sure very few people listening to this are going to agree with anything that I've said. But if anyone listening to this stops and thinks about what's going on, I'm sure all of you have seen this movie many, many times. And if you just stop to think, like, maybe just for a second, like, maybe Ken's right. Maybe this movie is totally just manipulating the hell out of me just a little bit. And if this movie, because you know how many people I have met in my life who, again, like me when I was 14, like, what's your favorite movie of all time? It's The Shawshank Redemption. I've met more people in my life whose favorite movie is The Shawshank Redemption than any other movie.
Yeah.
Because I love asking people what their favorite movie is. It's a thing that I do. And so, yeah, this is a thing. So maybe if you're listening to this and The Shawshank Redemption is your favorite movie and you think for just a second about what it's doing, maybe, you know what? Maybe that movie's good, but it's not the best movie ever made. I mean, maybe if anybody listening has that happen to them, you just think for a second about it. Just think about it. Just engage the critical part of your brain when it comes to the Shawshank Redemption, and you're like, you know what? Maybe this movie came out in the same year as Pulp Fiction. Okay, so
and
maybe
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, and Forrest Gump, which is fine. But if you're thinking about the movies of 1994, maybe think to yourself, hold on a second. Is the Shawshank Redemption actually better than Pulp Fiction? Can anyone actually think
I never thought that.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that you did, but like I'm saying, this is people's favorite movie. It's like, if you really
I
think about
still
it,
love it. Yeah. I don't care what you say about it.
Sure,
I still love it.
Yeah, you're right. Why would you care what I think about it?
I still love it. But I remember watching it, and I remember having this thought is, like, everything that happens in the movie, I kind of saw coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it never becomes unpredictable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just think the way it goes about it is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I know you don't think that.
No. Yeah. If this movie were half an hour shorter and all that you cut out was Red's narration and some sweeping overhead camera shots to show you the scope and majesty of this hellhole that they're in, then maybe there's a salvageable movie in there. But as it stands right now, I find it unwatchable. It took me. I had to watch this movie in 3 stages.
Oh, I didn't even I didn't even watch it this time.
Yeah, I wasn't going to, but then I was like, you know what? I want it to be fresh. I got to give the people what they want.
People I've seen this thing a bunch of times.
Yeah,
I don't
of
even
course.
watch it again.
People want to hear me. You know, I was going to be ranting the whole time. I wanted the rants to be at least fresh in my brain.
There you go. All right, so Ken.
Yeah.
Let's make it formal.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is it a pass, pirate, pay for the Shawshank Redemption?
Oh, it's a pay. Lies. No, of course not. This is a pass. Don't watch this. If anybody out there, there's one more thing. Last thing I'll say.
Okay.
If anybody out there has not seen the Shawshank Redemption, do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Just keep it that way. Just don't watch it. Don't watch this movie.
All right, I'm a pay.
Yeah, I figured.
I love it.
All right, our second movie today is 2019's Dr. Sleep, directed by Mike Flanagan, the aforementioned.
I'm curious to see what you think about this one.
Yeah, I was very curious myself. I like I said, The Shining is my absolute favorite Stephen King movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really curious to think about how this movie was going to go about it, because I haven't read the book of Dr. Sleep.
Right.
So I was curious, because the book ends so differently than the Stanley Kubrick movie. So I was wondering how much the Dr. Sleep movie was going to be in keeping with the Stanley Kubrick universe or whatever.
Right.
So and
especially with King's opinions on that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little interested to know, because this movie actually seems like it just jumps right in where Stanley Kubrick's movie leaves off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious as to how this movie differentiates from the Dr. Sleep book, because like you said, Mike Flanagan obviously is very much into Stephen King. He loves him. You know, he's made at least 3 movies of his books.
Yeah.
But watching this movie, it is also very apparent that he loves the Stanley Kubrick movie from the 1980, The Shining.
There's a lot of homage to that.
So many homages in this movie. Like, it starts off right away where it's like, wow, they're really showing stuff. The actress who plays Danny's mother, Wendy Torrance, who was Shelley Duvall in the movie, is doing a absolutely dynamite Shelley Duvall impression. I thought
all of the people who played, even the Jack Nicholson,
the Jack Nicholson guy,
Crothers.
The Scatman Crothers, he's doing a really good Scatman Crothers. The Jack Nicholson guy, I mean, it's hard to do a Jack Nicholson impression, and the guy I think avoids doing a straight up Jack Nicholson impression.
Right, it feels like he's
just trying to do the character. Yeah, he's trying to do Jack Torrance, and he does a really good job with it. And I agree. I think like this movie is like pretty reverential, I think, to the original movie, which definitely works for me. Like I was totally into all that. So this movie, it's just a mild plot. What basically what happens is Danny Torrance grows up. He's got PTSD from all of the shit that happened to him at the Overlook Hotel. He becomes an alcoholic, and then eventually he winds up in this community where, you know, he kicks his alcoholism, and he winds up like a valued member of this community, and he's mostly turned off his shining, except there's this young girl named Abra, and she's like in communication with him through this blackboard on the wall of the rooming house where he's living. And so they're like, he calls her his pen pal. So they're in touch with each other. And so while this is happening, we see that there's this group of, I don't know what you'd call them, ghouls, vampires, something.
Yeah, but they only feed on like shining people, right?
They feed on kids, basically, who have the shining. And they're like they're going around the country looking for kids who shine.
You know, I was thinking about it. I had no idea what the shining even was.
Yeah.
Like from the Kubrick movie. I'm like, I thought it was just a scary house. Like I had no idea there was like superpowers and.
No, man, they talk about it. There's a whole conversation between Danny and Dick Halloran. That's the Scatman Crothers guy's name.
Yeah, I remember that, but like, I don't know. It just wasn't the focus of the movie,
right?
Know?
Yeah, but so yeah, there's these monsters come around and they're killing kids. The movie actually opens, the main villain, the main monster, her name is Rose the Hat, and we see her talking to this little girl, and the little girl obviously has got some kind of a little bit of shine to her, and then all of a sudden all these monsters are surrounding her and eating her, and so that's how the movie starts, and it's super creepy. And so Rose the Hat is played by Rebecca Ferguson, who is not somebody I think I've ever seen before. She is dynamite in this movie.
Yeah,
I think like she is like it seems to me like Mike Flanagan has based on having seen The Fall of the House of Usher. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
There's Carla Gugino plays this character who is supernatural in some way, and she is like haunting this family, and it's like this sexy malevolence thing going on. And this movie has the same exact thing where Rebecca Ferguson is like, she is like a really, I think, all-time good movie villain, right? Where she's like, she's chewing on scenery in all the best ways. She's playing it really big. She is sexy as all hell and also feels dangerous. It's like, it's a really great movie villain, I think. It's really cool. And this movie has a lot of like really creepy shit that happens in it. And that's, I think, the stuff that Mike Flanagan does really well. He is not at all a guy who does subtlety, I think, right?
No, and very plot heavy.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also like really atmospheric too. It's like there's a lot of like really moody, creepy stuff, like a lot of cool imagery on screen being shown. Like there's a scene where the monsters are like recruiting a new member into their midst. Yeah. Her name is Snakebite Andy, and she is like
my old college nickname.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so she's this like teenage girl who has this power to put people to sleep just by like, you know, pushing their mind or whatever.
And getting them to do whatever she says, right?
Yeah, eventually we see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they discover her while she like this creepy pedophile dude comes up to her. She arranges to meet him in this old movie theater, and then she puts him to sleep and like leaves him a scar so that he'll, you know, stop being a pedophile or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the scene where she's recruited, the shining in this movie is represented by like it looks like when you breathe in cold weather, like fog coming out of your breath. Yeah. So that's what the shining is.
And they call it smoke,
they
right?
call it steam.
Steam.
Yeah. So the way that they convert Andy into being a member of their crew is like they have some of this steam from the girl we see murdered at the very beginning of the movie, and like she inhales it into her body, and she goes through all these convulsions, and all the other monsters are like sucking up the steam that's in the air, and it's like it's really creepy and cool. I thought. I feel like a lot of this movie is just Mike Flanagan totally in his bag. Like he is doing the things that he is best at for the most part, and not really having to worry about the stuff that he's not so strong at. Because what he doesn't do well, I think, is like I said, subtlety is not really his thing. So there's like a lot of the interpersonal relationships between people, like that stuff is not fleshed out so well. It doesn't really work so well. But like for the most part, this movie's just a ride, and I was totally on board. It's like 2.5 hour long movie, and I was never bored. I was totally into it the whole way. It was just, I just thought it was really cool. And then when the end comes and they wind up going back to the Overlook Hotel and we're like revisiting all of the stuff from the original movie, this is like the blood coming down the elevator and all that stuff.
The recreation of the Overlook was pretty good.
Really good. Like all of the stuff, it looked like the same sets that they used in 1980.
Yeah, only like dilapidated.
Right, exactly.
Like if it was unkept.
Yeah, exactly. Like it had been sitting there for the last 45 years or whatever. So I on the whole, I thought it was really good. Some of the plot stuff was really kind of strange to me. Like when we get to the point where, so Danny Torrance and Abra, they're luring the monsters to they want to come and take her because she's the most powerful. She's got the most steam of anybody, right? So they're trying to get her. And Danny is trying to save them. And the way that we have this ultimate confrontation is a gunfight. Like, you have all of these people with all of these magic powers, and the way that it becomes solved is just like you shoot one of these monsters in the head and they just die. It's really strange. Like the only cool thing in that battle is, like you said, Snakebite Andy has this ability to make people do what she wants, right? So when Danny's best friend shoots her and she's dying, before she dies, she tells him to blow his brains out, and he does. Yeah. And it's super it's creepy and like it's just instantaneous, right? It's just like totally kind of unexpected, where it's just like he turns his shotgun on himself and blows his own brains out. It's like, whoa, that's kind of creepy. But otherwise, it's just a gunfight. What are we doing?
I think what Stephen King does sometimes is he'll write himself into a corner, and then figure out a way out of it. Yeah. And a lot of times it's really cool how he figures, but sometimes it's not.
Right.
Sometimes he has to make up some rules in his universe that are kind of dumb. I think we've seen that in every Stephen King movie.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Spoilers for Dr. Sleep ahead. Skip to minute marker 39 minutes and 44 seconds, or the next chapter. You have been warned.
The way that they ultimately defeat Rose the Hat is that they're in the Overlook, and we learn throughout the movie that Danny has been haunted by the ghosts of the Overlook for his whole life, but he's learned a trick where he can like imprison them in coffins in his mind. So then right as Rose is about to murder him, she is like looking in his mind because she's magic, and she's like, oh, what's going on here? And he just unleashes all of the ghosts of the Overlook onto her. Yeah. And we see like, the creepy little twin girls and the old caretaker and stuff. Just that's how she is ultimately taken down. She's murdered by those people.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like I said, this movie, I don't feel like it's changing my life in any way, but I don't feel like it's an unworthy sequel to The Shining. I think it does a lot of really good, creepy stuff, and it was fun. I enjoyed myself. This movie was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I did too. I was a little trepidatious at the beginning. And I'm like, what are they even gonna do with this? Like, how do you make a sequel to The Shining?
Totally.
And I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, this is the approach they're gonna take, and it felt like kind of a new story. Like it. With just like elements of the Shining, and that's the best way they could have done it.
Right. I actually do kind of wish that we could have a different version of this where it's not Danny Torrance and the Overlook. As much as I enjoy, the Shining Memberberries stuff, I think if we just have a entirely new story with Rose and her crew, because they're like the creepy good, the best part of the movie, I think.
Yeah.
And we just have them in a different part of the Stephen King extended universe, but not necessarily involved in Danny Torrance's story.
Yeah,
I think that might have been even
maybe
a little bit better
or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
With just them,
or just like not even involved. Just don't even get Danny involved. Like, don't even bother to make a sequel to The Shining. Just like you have this good idea with these cool monsters. Because Stephen King, the thing that he does best, or one of the things that he does best, is he makes cool monsters. He comes up with cool villains. And this movie is no exception. It just like does a really good job with that.
Yeah.
So I just I don't know. It does feel kind of shoehorned into the whole Shining thing in a way that wasn't really necessary. But at the same time, I love The Shining, so I wasn't too mad about it.
All right. So would you give Dr. Sleep a pass, pirate, or pay?
I'm gonna be a pay on this one. I was a little bit surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie.
I am surprised by how much you enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I
didn't think you were gonna dig it. I thought it'd be a little too convoluted for you. Too much shit.
Yeah, exactly. But me.
It was a bit messy.
But me, plot is not my main focus, right? So if the plot gets a little messy, as long as we get some cool stuff happening and it's a good time and it flows well.
I thought it was messy. I thought Ewan McGregor did a really good job.
Yeah, I think, and the girl who plays Abra, I thought she was really good too. Like as kid actors go, she did a really good job. I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'd give it a pay too.
Nice, excellent. All right, our last movie today, in theaters now, also directed by Mike Flanagan, is The Life of Chuck.
Yes.
So, I had no idea what this movie was about before going into it.
I read it.
Yeah, okay. So I had not read the book, no clue what I was getting into.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is broken up into 3 sections. It starts off, the first thing we see is Act 3, right? That's what comes up on the screen. It says Act 3. Thanks, Chuck. That's what it says. And we're just thrown into this world where it seems like the slowest ever apocalypse is happening.
Yeah.
Right? Like we keep seeing news reports of California being sucked into the sea. Then the internet throughout the world fails. Sinkholes are forming everywhere. There's just the riots in the streets. People are killing themselves. It's all totally unexplained. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And the thing that keeps happening is we keep seeing these billboards. It's a picture of Tom Hiddleston, he plays the adult version of Chuck in this movie, and it's just like, thanks, Chuck, for 39 great years. And all the characters are talking to themselves like, you see these billboards, and eventually like it comes up on TV screens, and then eventually it gets even weirder than that. And it's just like, does anybody know who Chuck is? No, I have no idea. 39 years of what? I don't know. Is he retiring from the billboards above the bank? Do we know what? Did he work at the bank? No, I work at the bank. He didn't work at the bank. And it's all
I remember having these feelings when I read it. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's so weird, and I loved it. Loved
the movie? You loved this part of the movie.
The first section of this movie, I think, is the best thing that Mike Flanagan has done that I've seen. I think it is absolutely fantastic, where it's like nobody knows what's happening. None of the characters know what's happening.
We don't know.
Yeah. And all that we know is the world seems to be dying. And we don't know why, and we don't know when it's going to happen. And it's just an examination of what people will do when they know that the end is coming. And there's so much really cool stuff going on. There's
a few movies that kind of movies and TV shows that kind of examine that.
Yeah.
Like movies where a comet's coming.
Yeah.
And how everybody deals in different weird ways.
Yeah, exactly. But usually those things are like played way more straightforwardly than this one, right?
Yeah.
Because this one, everything is just a total mystery, right?
Yeah.
But there are some great,
also, we should give a spoiler alert right at the beginning of this.
Yeah, that's fair. So if you don't know what The Life of Chuck is, we're going to pretty much get into it here, because I don't see how we can possibly talk about this movie without getting into the whole thing. We have talked about the
beginning so far,
right?
But just skip to the end if you don't want to spoil, and you probably don't.
Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, there are some great scenes that I just really love. There's a scene with I can never remember the guy's name, David Darmarian, the guy from Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Where one of the main characters, the main character of the first section is a teacher who's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he's having a hard time because the world is ending and none of his students are paying attention in class. So then we see him going through all of these parent-teacher meetings.
Yeah.
And none of the parents have any idea how to deal with all this stuff too.
No.
And there's a really great scene between these two guys, Chiwetel Ejiofor and this other guy. They're talking about all the things that are going away. And at one point he's just like, and Pornhub's not working anymore, right? how messed up is that? And these two guys are just like, yeah, that is really messed up. Like of all the things that are going away, it's just like, man, we can't even have internet porn anymore. Like this is some really serious stuff going on. But yeah, so all of these things all these things are happening where married couples disintegrating or divorced couples coming back together, and people are talking about, it's like, which do you think is more like, which is happening more? And eventually, like, they ask one of the characters, is like, what do you think is happening in greater numbers, divorces or remarriages? And the character's like, oh, remarriages for sure. And they're like, well, what do you mean? You're an optimist, I guess. It's like, no. Divorce takes months, paperwork. At this point, nobody's going through that. People are just leaving. So remarriage, you can go sign a piece of paper and put on a ring and go have somebody marry you right away. It's the easiest thing in the world. So yeah, it's like, the thought is, if the world is ending, who do you want to spend it with? How do you want to spend your time doing it? What do you want to do? And I think it was so like poetic and beautiful. I thought the whole movie was. There's a lot of really great, like, again, imagery. Like, Mike Flanagan is a really good visual stylist, I think. And this movie looks really cool. Once we get way towards the end, once the power grid fails, we start seeing these images of Chuck, like billboards of Chuck appearing just on everybody's windows in all of their houses.
Yeah, like lit up.
Yeah, like a ghostly appearance on all the windows on all the houses. And it's just like, this is just the world we live in. But like, we see this couple reuniting and they're just looking at the stars, and it just, I don't know, the whole thing struck me as just incredibly like poetic and beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And then the way that section ends, we finally get to see Chuck in real life, and we see he's just this guy who's dying. It looks like some kind of cancer or something. And he's just there with his wife and his son, and we just see the last moments that this guy has on Earth. And that's the end of the first section, right? And none of it is explained, and all of it is great. That's the way I feel about it. I thought it's like, absolutely fantastic. So then the second section starts, and we see this one starts with Chuck, and we learn that it's 9 months earlier. And Chuck is walking down the street. He's in some town in California. He's an accountant, and he's in town for some accountant conference or whatever. And then there's this other woman, and this young woman who's just been broken up with by her boyfriend, and she's also walking along the same streets. And we're following the two of them. And the reason why we know all these things that are happening is because, once again, we've got a narrator,
Nick Offerman
this time. And I love Nick Offerman. I'm not made of stone. I like Nick Offerman a lot. I think he's great. But like, man, we are narrating the ever-loving bejesus out of this movie.
I don't think we're doing that much narrating.
Dude, there are like, the narrator is in conversation with the characters at some points. Like, it's so talky. The first part of this movie is so mysterious and so so magical that I was so on board. I was loving everything that was happening. And then we get right into this next section. It's just yap, just yammering so irritatingly. Just shut up. Stop talking for 2 seconds. Let this movie be. And there are points where the movie does that. It stops talking and just lets magic happen. And there's a great, fantastic scene where we see Chuck and we see this young woman, and they're converging. And then there's this other woman who's she's a busker, and she's playing the drums, and she's just like, she's keeping a drum beat, and she's not making any money busking. And then all of a sudden she sees Chuck coming by, and she's like, oh, that guy, I'm gonna try to get involved with that guy. So like, she changes up her drum beat, and like, to try to give him some entrance music or whatever. Yeah. And he comes walking in, and then all of a sudden he starts to dance, and he's like just doing this like cool little dorky dance that's like kind of awesome, right? And then we had already learned from the endless narration that this other young woman, that she loves to dance. That's the thing that she likes. And then before you know it, she and Chuck are doing this like elaborate dance number with this woman playing the drums busking, and there's no other score. There's nothing else happening on the soundtrack. It's just the two of them dancing and the drums, and it's amazing. Like,
you like that scene?
I love it. I love it. There are few things in movies that I like more than a dance sequence in a movie that's not a musical. I love like Pulp Fiction, Napoleon Dynamite, Band of Outsiders, all these. Like, if you're gonna put a dance sequence in a movie that's not a musical,
yeah,
you're gonna have a hard time making me not like it. And like the dancing in the scene was so cool, and it's just like it goes on for like a while. It's probably like 3-4 minutes of just the two of them dancing, and it's like pure movie magic for me. It's like movie heroin into my veins.
Okay.
So this is why I got so frustrated with this movie, when you have this ability to create this magic and you are constantly ruining it with your nonstop talking. And the movie does there are a bunch of times where the magic is rekindled, where it's just like the movie is still enough and we see some cool imagery on screen, or there's another dance sequence when we see Chuck as like a 10-year-old or whatever, and he's dancing with this pretty girl who's like a foot taller than he is.
Yeah.
But like the two of them together are just magic. Like, it's just cool. It's just really great stuff. But man, I'm so annoyed at the fact that this movie won't get out of its own way. Like, I would love to see a cut of this movie without any narration involved at all. I would love to see it. I think so much of the movie works so well that the talking is just so distracting to me. I couldn't get over it. I couldn't deal with it.
Huh.
Yeah, it really irritated the hell out of me.
It didn't mean.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at this whole movie, and what I really loved about it is it examined the life of such a normal dude.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Just an accountant.
Yeah.
You know, just as normal as you could get. And they made accounting sound cool.
Right. Yeah, there's a soliloquy. Mark Hamill plays young Chuck's
which
grandfather.
I loved.
And he was really good in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a scene where he's talking about the beauty of math, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it was really cool. It was really interesting. It was really good. It was a really good scene. But yeah, the thing that you're talking about is, so there's the movie constantly keeps bringing up Song of Myself by Walt Whitman. And the line in the poem which goes, "Do I contradict myself? Very well, I contradict myself. I'm large, I contain multitudes," right?
Yeah.
And so there's another
what this whole movie is.
Another
basically.
great scene with Chuck as a young kid and his teacher, and he's asking her about the poem, what it means, and she like puts her hands on his head and starts like saying, "There's a universe inside your head."
Yeah, well, she starts small, which I love. She says, "What is in your head right here?"
Right.
And she says, "People you know?" And he goes, "Yeah, my grandma, my mom, my dad." So what about people you don't know?
Yeah.
What about everybody? What about everything? What about all the things that are in your head?
Right.
And then she said, "You contain multitudes."
Yeah. And
then you go, "Oh, that's what the whole first part of the movie was about."
That's the whole movie, right? Because as the movie goes on, we see that all of the people who are in the first part of the movie are people that Chuck has encountered throughout the rest of his life.
Right.
Even if he only just like walks by them, they're
glimpses of them.
They're still part of his story. They're still part of who he is, part of what his life is.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I think the ordinariness of him to still be this universe, this glorious universe unto himself.
And we all are.
And yeah, and that's what the movie is trying to get at. And again, I think that's really beautiful. And if this movie would just let the magic work without having to over-explain everything that's happening, I feel like it would work so much better. I'm so annoyed. I feel like this could have been one of the best movies ever made. Like the idea of this movie and the way that the initial part really like fired on all cylinders for me. I feel like this movie was on pace to do something like really almost miraculous. And then it just kind of dies. It just kind of like sputters out under the weight of its own yapping.
I didn't think so, man. I thought it was good. You know what made me like question my own mortality? Seeing Sloane from Ferris Bueller's Day Off play a grandma.
Yeah, Mia Sara.
And Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street play her old grandma friend.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I felt that one in my knees.
I actually didn't. I didn't know that. I didn't recognize Mia Sara. I knew.
I said, I thought, is that Mia Sara? I went, no, it couldn't be.
I was like, she looks really familiar, but I don't know who. I can't remember who that is. And I saw the credits. I was like, oh,
yeah.
But Jamie Langenkamp, who was Heather in the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
I recognized her right away.
No, it was Heather Langenkamp, who was Nancy.
Oh, that's right, Heather Langenkamp. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I recognized her right away. I was like, whoa.
Old grandma in an assisted living with oxygen in. I'm like, oh, man.
Right.
We old.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
I think you liked it more than I thought you would.
Yeah,
But I thought it was original enough of an idea that you would like it.
Yeah, I do like it. I think it's a good movie.
Uh-huh.
It's wasted potential for me. It's like, I talk about this a lot. When I graduated college, the day I graduated college, I went out and got Chinese food with a bunch of friends,
uh-huh.
and I got a fortune cookie that said, "Great expectations are the sites of future disappointments."
I've always lived by that,
and that's what this movie is to me.
Yeah,
the great expectations that I got from the first section of the movie, just unfortunately, if I didn't love the first part so much, I wouldn't be as annoyed by the later parts. But the stuff that doesn't work is just such a blemish on an otherwise really interesting and cool movie that it's kind of a bummer for me. Kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it a bad movie. It just wasted potential. That's what it seems like to me.
What would you give The Life of Chuck, Ken? Would you give it a pass, pirate, or pay?
I still got it as a pay.
Yeah.
Even though I was annoyed by some stuff, I think the movie has enough good stuff. It puts enough on the table that the stuff it takes off the table doesn't make it worthless. It's still very much worth watching and paying for. Go see it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a pay too.
Yeah.
So the next show I want to do zombie movies.
Okay.
In celebration of 28 years later.
Oh, it's out now, right?
I think it comes out, I think technically today, but
okay.
Friday, so tomorrow. So we're going to do 28 years later.
Okay.
And then I have a couple in case you've seen them. Have you seen Handling the Undead?
Nope, never heard of it.
We're doing that one.
Okay.
Have you seen Maggie?
No, haven't seen that. I know what that is, but I haven't seen it.
All right, those are the three we're doing.
Handling the Undead and Maggie, huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to watch the other 28.
I've actually never seen 28 Weeks Later. I've only seen the first one.
I don't think I've seen Weeks either.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one.
And 28 Days I saw when it came out, which was, 20 years ago?
I think so, yes. It's a long time ago for sure.
28 years ago?
I don't think I knew who Cillian Murphy was when I saw it.
So you've seen 28 Days Later. You haven't seen the other one. Have you seen 28 Days with Sandra Bullock?
No, I
the original?
I haven't seen that one either.
That was before anything happened.
So there was no zombies in that one, right?
No zombies in that.
Yeah, so I don't need to check that one out.
It's like
right?
a rom-com, but it's like technically this spiritual prequel.
Oh, shit.
All right, so that's what we're doing. So we'll see you next time on that.
All right, see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Pass Pirate Pay. This episode was produced by the one and only Andy Morris. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. We'd hate for you to miss out on all the fun. Curious about where to stream the movies we talked about? Head on over to passpiratepay.com. We've got everything listed with handy links on where to watch. You can also join the conversation on our Facebook page or stalk our cinematic musings on Letterboxd. Links are on the site. Got a movie or a TV show you think we should review? Fill out the contact form, or this is cool, you can even text us right through the episode player on our website's front page. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Until next time, keep watching, keep rating, and keep it past Pirate Pay.